Fury and a guy who hasn't become a world champion yet, how you gonna beat Mike Tyson, who is the youngest heavyweight champion of all time? I mean, to me, just in my opinion, I can't see that happening. Now, this is Hollywood we live in. Now,
on getting to know about the fact that Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson had their fight scripted, many boxing professionals have poured out their rage at the amount of disrespect Mike Tyson showed against the sport that made him everything he is today. On fight night, shortly before the fight between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul began, the fight script was leaked online to the disappointment of many. However, once it was discovered by the organizers, they did all they could to ensure the fight played out differently. But from the script, it was clear that the first to fifth round happened exactly as planned, and it was surely a last-minute decision to take the fight to the scorecards.
Mike?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. Yeah, like there was a point where, I was just like, okay, he's not really engaging back. And so
this has aroused the fury of many boxing professionals who can't help but express how disappointed they are in Mike Tyson. Ordinarily, the matchup had drawn widespread criticism even before it took place. Many questioned Paul's decision to fight a retired Tyson who stepped away from professional boxing in 2005. With Tyson well past his prime and grappling with ongoing health issues, including an on-flight health scare earlier this year, which postponed the fight from July to November, the choice was labeled by some as opportunistic.
Watch Mike Tyson and Jake Paul?
I actually did. I actually watched it, and I felt, while watching it, I felt disgusted. Disgusted at Jake Paul for...
Despite the criticism, Paul's victory against one of boxing's all-time greats will likely add another chapter to his growing resume as a crossover boxer. Meanwhile, Tyson's loss underscores the challenges faced by aging athletes stepping back into competitive sports. Holyfield's observations highlight the physical toll that time and injuries have taken on Tyson, further fueling the debate about such mismatched bouts.
Yeah, I have. But they haven't been serious enough. If they was serious, you're indicating that I'm not trying to click.
The fight was extremely poor and a difficult one to watch, with former world heavyweight champion Tyson looking every bit of his 58 years old, but he lasted the distance, and Paul claimed a unanimous decision win with scores of 80, 72-79, 73-79, 73. It was the first time that Iron Mike had been back in the ring since an exhibition with fellow boxing legend Roy Jones Jr. back in 2020.
For putting this together, knowing that Tyson was 58 years old. See, I'm a fighter myself, and I once tried coming back at 48 years old, and my body just shut down. So when you're gonna...
Talking about the fight being scripted, James Buster Douglas said, "That isn't God for Tyson. That isn't good for the sport. It's bad to be remembered as a man who tried to ruin the same sport he devoted his entire life to." Before the fight, former Mike Tyson conqueror James Buster Douglas weighed in on the upcoming controversial clash between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, breaking down the bout and giving an opinion that not many others appear to share. Douglas shocked the world when he knocked out previously unbeaten Tyson at the Tokyo Dome in Japan in 1990 to become world heavyweight champion, heading into the bout as a 42, one underdog.
About my eye, but I was complaining about that he was knocked out for 14 seconds. And then they gave me a long count. I wasn't complaining, but it was the truth.
Nearly 35 years later, Tyson is now set to enter the ring again when he faces Paul, although an ulcer flare-up meant that the fight didn't take place as early as planned. There have been plenty of concerns from onlookers ahead of the fight, with some demanding it be canceled altogether after Tyson's medical incident forced the postponement of the fight, having originally been scheduled for July 20th. Douglas wasn't one of those who had worries for Iron Mike, though, stating that he doesn't see how Paul can have any threat to Tyson. "I don't think Mike fighting is risky because he's not fighting a legitimate 26-year-old contender. Paul's a young man, of course, but in the sport of boxing, he's kind of limited. The ability he has does not make him a real threat to Mike. Anything is possible in the ring, but I don't think this is too big of a risk for Mike."
Guys, 1,100, 2,202. His count was longer than mine. He's talking.
It's not like he is derelict or something like that. He's got an opportunity doing something he feels he can do, and he will put up a good showing. He's not doing something that he's not done before. And the clips I saw of him before, he's looking pretty good. Better than most of the heavyweights out there today. I think he could hold up for sure. The way they fight now, I'm sure he could handle himself. The talent pool isn't that great. They are all right, but it's not like the strong top 10 or top 20 from our day. There are a lot of weak links. Mike is going to be freaking relentless. He has no reason to hesitate. Jake needs to go out immediately, and bang, let him know there's something to look out for. Otherwise, it's going to be open target season, and Mike's going to be throwing shots with no worry about what's coming back. Mike has never been worried about what's coming back at him. Why the hell would he be worried about Jake Paul? Douglas also predicted what he expects Tyson to go after in the fight and names a big advantage that his former rival will have over Paul.
But they don't say how many seconds he got.
Right.
Our referee was scared to death, like, oh my gosh, 1,100, 2,202. His count was longer than mine. He's talking.
I can see Mike going after Paul's body. Can he withstand a real body attack? I'm visualizing that once Mike gets going, he's going to overwhelm Paul. The 2-minute rounds will be to Mike's advantage for sure. Those 2 minutes will pass quickly. You can get your shots off and then recover. I think Mike will bring that intensity in those 2-minute rounds like Mike back in the day. The other advantage for Mike is that Paul isn't a major threat. As far as power coming back at him, you're fighting a guy like Mike who is coming with thunder, and he's not really looking out for anything coming back. It would be different if Paul was a legitimate heavyweight with skills and ability. To conclude, he added, the best scenario for Paul is to just last the entire fight. Say he went the distance with Mike Tyson. Keep his hands up and duck those haymakers because they're going to be coming. Paul will be intimidated by those haymakers. They're like rockets. Keep moving, Paul. Don't stand in front of him. Don't stand on the train tracks. I look at it like an easy win. It will be the easiest win of his career. At 65 years old, it may be tough, but at 58, it will be a piece of cake. George Foreman was even more disappointed, claiming Tyson had ruined his boxing legacy by choosing to play along with the script.
That Tyson could hit, man. Even Muhammad Ali, who had not seen us face him, told me when I told him I was coming.
No one thought Tyson, a man who knows what it takes to be a world champion, would go that far. He probably has ruined every legacy he tried creating for over 2 decades. George Foreman, known as Big George, didn't rule out Jake Paul when making his prediction before the fight. Although Tyson is the heavy favorite for this fight, and almost everyone warns of the danger of the former champion's fists, Foreman pointed out that this fight will be complicated for Mike because of the youth of his opponent, who will not make things easy for him. Jake Paul is no slouch, and he's not afraid of that kind of opponent, Foreman told NY Fights. Time is on Paul's side, added Big Foreman.
Coming back, he said, George, but that Mike Tyson can hit. That's punching power there.
Wait, so George, so Muhammad Ali told you don't.
If that were not enough, Foreman also pointed out that Paul's punches could pose a danger to Tyson. That Paul could have sent me to sleep, said Foreman, who nevertheless said he was happy to see Tyson at this stage of his life. Paul has tricks. Tyson gets hit with one punch at his age. You start to hear funny noises. I'm very happy for Mike Tyson. He needed this kind of emotion in his life. Everyone is talking about it, said the Olympic medalist. For Foreman, Paul not only represents a danger to Tyson, but also he does not believe that Iron Mike can knock his opponent to the canvas during the 8 rounds that the fight will last due to the youth of the problem child, 31 years younger than his challenger.
Don't fight Mike Tyson.
Yeah, he was like a caution, like my big brother. He said, but George, Mike Tyson hit so hard. He said it with a little more action.
Foreman added, so happy for Mike Tyson. He needed this excitement in his life. Everyone is talking about it. Holyfield, on the other hand, was a little more lenient, as he tried to confirm if it was fixed or not. One thing he couldn't deny during his post-fight comment was the fact that Tyson's legs looked weaker than they did in training, and he just looks too disoriented. Well, now, we can confirm all of Holyfield's guesses as Mike Tyson just playing along with the script.
It wasn't a good one.
It wasn't a good one. Yeah. Overall, how'd you just see how Jake...
Immediately after the fight, Iron Mike Tyson's loss to YouTuber-turned-boxer Jake Paul sparked very significant discussion in the boxing world, particularly after Tyson's former rival-turned-friend, Evander Holyfield, pointed out a possible factor behind the defeat. Holyfield believed that Tyson's strapped knee posed a recurring hindrance during the bout, impacting his movement and contributing to the loss. Jake Paul defeated Tyson in a fight that saw the YouTuber make a strong comeback after losing the first 2 rounds. The unofficial scorecard revealed a 78-74 victory in Paul's favor, marking a decisive performance. Holyfield, in a recent video interview, highlighted that Tyson's restricted mobility, likely stemming from his knee issues, became a glaring weakness.
How Mike fought?
Well, you can tell something was wrong with the Tyson leg, so he couldn't. His balance was off.
It wasn't a good fight. No, it wasn't. Well, you could tell something was wrong with Tyson's leg, so he couldn't get his balance. His balance was off. Yeah, his balance was off. He's Jake Paul, a pretty good fighter, Holyfield said. After the fight, Paul addressed the critics of the bout and downplayed Tyson's impact during the clash. He claimed that the punches from the 58-year-old boxing legend hardly hurt him and that he deliberately avoided causing any serious damage to the former champion. I wanted to give the fans a show, but I didn't want to hurt someone who didn't need to be hurt. No, I didn't feel his power, only because the crowd got turned up, but it didn't actually hurt. But I mean, nobody's punches have really hurt, Paul said.
Oh, that's crazy. You noticed that. I just talked to his trainer and he told me that exact thing. Yeah. His balance was off.
His balance was off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. Overall, how do you see Jake growing from this, and who do you want to see him fight against now?
Well, I'm like, he's a pretty good.
Roy Jones Jr. was probably one of the first few boxing professionals to hint the public at how the fight was going to go after calling it a Hollywood show when he was making his final comments before the fight. Nonetheless, many thought he was speaking of something else, as they took his comments casually. And after the fight, he didn't change his stance, saying he expected everything that happened. In fact, he had advised Paul to leave boxing and head to WWE with his brother to take his fight scripting to the very next level.
Am I losing the plot a bit, thinking Mike Tyson will win this quite easily?
No, you're not. I mean, for me, man, I see the exact same way you see it. I mean, if you can't beat Tommy Fury and a guy who hasn't become a world champion yet.
Jones was on commentary for the showdown between Tyson and Paul, and he summed up in 3 words what he thought of the result. I'm not surprised. Jones then shared his thoughts on the fight and revealed what he thinks could be next for Paul. Everybody in the arena is just glad Tyson didn't go down. I'm not really surprised. Seeing Mike's legs, I'm not surprised at all. Jake Paul continues to go on. He'll see who he can find to make the most interesting fight with next. People like Canelo, who are not really looking for the toughest fights in the world right now, may even take that fight now. You never know.
Tomorrow, who makes the most money tomorrow? So that being said, it's kind of hard to say what's really going to happen. We think, and we actually know that a real Mike Tyson, even at 60 years old, still destroys Jake Paul at 27, at 25, at 23.
In the build-up to Paul versus Tyson, Jones Jr. revealed his ex-rival hit him harder than anyone else from his career, despite the American being 54 at the time. Jones Jr., who has won world titles at middleweight, super middleweight, light heavyweight, and heavyweight, is backing Iron Mike to emerge victorious in Texas. The 55-year-old believed Paul's defeat to Tyson Fury's brother Tommy in February 2023 is proof that the problem child doesn't have the power to beat a legitimate boxer. Speaking on the latest episode of TalkSport Boxing, Jones Jr. was asked whether Tyson wins the contest, which boasts 8 2-minute rounds.
It don't matter how old he is. But when you got so much money on the table with these kind of people sometimes, we don't know what might happen, so we're just not sure. But if you tell me just straight up.
To which he said, in my humble opinion, if Jake Paul struggled against Tommy Fury, how in the hell are you going to beat Mike Tyson? He later added, you can't beat Tommy Fury and a guy who hasn't been world champion? How are you going to beat Mike Tyson, who is the youngest heavyweight champion of all time? To me, this is my opinion. I can't see that happening. Now, this is Hollywood we live in nowadays. The social media is about Hollywood. It's about what happens tomorrow. Who makes the most money tomorrow?
Fighting, if they're going to go in and fight a real fight, and Mike is going to fight Jake Paul, and Mike is 58 or 59, even 59 years old. Jake Paul not beat Mike Tyson. He can't get out.
So that being said, it's hard to say what's really going to happen. But I think we actually know that a real Mike Tyson, even at 60 years old, still destroys Jake Paul at 27, at 25, and at 23, no matter how old he is. Paul went into the contest with a 10-1 record inside the squared circle, with 7 of his victories coming inside the distance. With 5 knockouts coming in the first 2 rounds, there had been talks that Tyson could struggle to deal with his 27-year-old opponent's power in the opening stages.
Tyson wanting to see more action. Waboto, Evander Holyfield, you get the gist.
And everybody was saying,
land this jab right there that really knocked Jake back. But then we see
move over to your left so I can see
right hand.
However, Jones Jr. had full belief that Tyson could handle anything Paul threw at him. As he stated, "I don't fear for Mike at all. When I fought Mike 4 years ago in round 6, 7, and 8, Mike was just as active as he was in round 1, 2, 3 because they were 2-minute rounds, so that's perfect for Mike." He continued, "I think this fight between Paul versus Tyson should fall under exhibition rules. But that being said, I still think if they go and do it the way they're supposed to do it and really fight a great fight, Jake always struggles in the late rounds." If you look at the Nate Diaz fight Paul unanimous decision win, Jake had a hard time with Nate Diaz really after round 3.
Raises to the returning legend. Nice body shot. Paul, 12 of 53, 23%. Tyson coming up in that fight with
That mouthpiece.
Oh, left hook. Triple left hook.
Right there. And knocked Mike off balance 2 times.
Lennox Lewis, now one of the 6 boxers to defeat Mike Tyson after Jake Paul became the latest addition to that hallowed list, was so disappointed in Tyson. In fact, like Tony Bellew, he urged the entire boxing world to cancel on Jake Paul and stop watching his fights, since he wouldn't stop making a joke out of the sport of boxing. He had tipped Tyson to win, and he felt so betrayed to realize Tyson had lost intentionally. Before the fight, when speaking to Sky Sports, Lewis said, "It's hard to box when you're that old, moving around the ring, throwing punches, getting punches thrown at you, but I think he can handle it."
Well, I don't think Jake Paul can hurt Mike Tyson. That's what I think. I think, Mike Tyson's going to go in there. He basically has to catch up to Jake Paul because Jake Paul...
I was thinking that Jake Paul was going to be in trouble because Mike Tyson knows how to throw great body punches, great headshots. We just have to see if he's going to do them in the ring. I'm hoping that he'll do that. Lewis, however, is predicting the YouTube star to face a much tougher challenge than he's used to when he takes on the baddest man on the planet, who he is backing to use his experience to his advantage in the ring. I expect to see Mike Tyson just kind of cutting off the ring and throwing body and head blows when he can catch up to Jake Paul, Lewis said. I'm sure Jake Paul will be moving fast, moving around the ring. He's not going to want to stand there and get hit by Mike Tyson. I'll be there and it's going to be exciting.
He's not going to be there and trying to get hit by Mike Tyson. So Mike Tyson really knows how to break down opponents, and I think the fight with Jake Paul is going to try and break him down and take him out. Okay.
Lewis, 59, will know Tyson better than most, having faced the American in June 2002. The pair fought at the Pyramid Arena in Memphis, Tennessee for the Ring Magazine heavyweight title. The British fighter came away with the win following a brutal 8th-round knockout. At the time, the event was the highest-grossing pay-per-view broadcast in history. Even then, Tyson's powers were depleting as he could not replicate the form he showed in the late 1980s and early 1990s. Lewis has also weighed in with his thoughts on the matter.
And you're happily retired, yes?
I'm happy.
Have you had offers?
Yeah, I have. But they haven't been serious enough.
If they were serious, you're indicating that... I'm not trying to click.
I don't think Jake Paul can hurt Mike Tyson, he told IFL TV. You know, Mike Tyson's got to go in there. He basically has to catch up to Jake Paul because Jake Paul's not going to be there trying to get hit by Mike Tyson. I think the fight with Jake Paul, Mike Tyson is going to try and break Jake Paul down and take him out, he added.
Clickbait you here, Lennox, honestly. But you've had offers, but you don't think they're serious enough for you to think about them?
I don't think they're serious enough for me to really break down and for me to get back in.
IFL host Kugan Cassius then jokingly asked the former heavyweight if he had offers to come out of retirement. Yes, I have, Lewis replied, but they haven't been serious enough. I don't think they are serious enough. For me to get back in the ring, I would have to be training for at least 3 years to catch back up, he explained. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news, moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected with us by subscribing to our YouTube channel, and don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.